Basti. We are undergoing a process at our school, replacing our administrator who's retiring at the end of the school year. It was a kind of a new process for our school involving a special person who came in and met with parents and teachers. After that initial meeting, a survey was sent out to us, and to be honest, kind of left us scratching our heads. I was wondering if the Board of Education has seen the survey that was prepared and sent to us at school. Then you probably noticed that out of, I don't know how many questions there were, 10, 15, maybe more questions, that they were about the most obvious, in fact, Captain Obvious could have put that survey together. It was basically, I most disagree to, I most agree. I want a principal who listens to staff. Well, of course. And every other question with maybe an exception here or there. I'm confused as to, number one, why that would be presented as a survey and not as a finding. These are the top 15 findings that we heard from you, and we want to then hear if there's anything else you can add. Why was that presented to us as if something we had to then answer? It made no sense. I'm sure that to hire a consultant to put a survey like that together was an expensive proposition. They don't do those things for free. You're shaking your head no. It was a freebie?
Yes.
It was a freebie.
She's already working in the district.
She's working in the district,
Correct.
but she's receiving a salary.
She was already here.
And they're getting a salary, I would imagine.
She did not get anything additional to do the 2 nights.
I'm not saying additional, I'm saying getting a salary. So she met with us one evening, wrote down everything we said, turned it around, and then asked us, are these the things you want? I think we covered that in the first meeting. I think we could do better. If you're looking to put a principal in my building and the building of a lot of my fellow teachers here, I think we could do a lot better to find out what it is we need and want. I'm disappointed that that was the outcome. I would like to know what the procedure is from here on in. I'm used to seeing a notice for a hiring committee. I haven't seen anything like that. It's almost April 1st. I'd like to know where we're going from here in terms of replacing our administrator at Boston.
Thank you. So there were 54 people in the room at BOSTI, and what was decided with the 54 people's outcome, and you're right, it was about the top 20 findings that Ms. Murphy had come up with, was to see if the rest of the community agreed with those 54 people. At this point, we have some data I will present to the board, the data with the bar graphs and the charts from that survey. A similar survey was also created for Cherokee. Ms. Murphy spent 2 nights in the district. She had already worked all day with teams of folks during the school day. And she presented those findings to us, and we wanted to make sure that the whole community agreed with the people who could make it out there that night. The next step in the process is screening interviews. We have 134 resumes. That's been boiled down to about 20. We will go through a screening interview. We're beginning that actually Thursday of this week. The next step after that, we will boil that down to probably about 10 candidates who will go into a deeper dive with cabinets and colleagues. After that, we will be putting together an interview committee, as we had in the past for the other principals who we've hired, Ms. Rubin and Mr. Costa and Ms. Manzi. It is a large group of folks that are all different stakeholders. There will be teachers, there will be clericals, there will be custodians, there will be administrators, and the questions from each group, and parents, I'm sorry, I forgot the parents, I shouldn't forget that. There will be questions, 3 questions from each of those groups that will be given to Mr. Annucci in a triage order of number 1 of importance, and Mr. Annucci will ask all those questions for the entire group to hear all the answers of. After that, we're going to add another step, which we've never done before. We're going to take the top 2 from that round and bring them in front of children and see how they interact with our children, because our children and our teachers are who they will be interacting with the most. So at that point, we will bring the top candidates for each one of our schools to the board as a recommendation for appointment.